Welcome to Archangel Revelations and Prophecies 444. I am Gad, your host. A viewer has requested the numerology life prediction based on birth name and birth date, and we did that video. That's a separate video that was completed. Now we're going to do the twin flames natal charts analysis. So here you're going to find out a lot about you and the person that you're requesting, the other chart as well, information from the universe. So we'll get started. Now, the ascendant is where the sun rises over the horizon at the time of the person's birth, and that is Gemini. Now, with Gemini, great mind skills, great multitasking, highly creative person. Gemini rules the third house. This is going to be short travel, younger, education, siblings, a person's environment, even the brotherhood. With Gemini, they enjoy their freedom. So even if they're in a relationship, they tend to still want their own private. They want their freedom, and they're not really as deep as far as information. Just take it in anything. If they have a general understanding, that's all they really want. They really don't want all the ins and outs. And this cannot be like for a relationship that could be not good, because house number 3 ruled by Gemini, you see that a lot in twin flame separations. You see a lot of Gemini. So the universe tries to push the Gemini into Sagittarius. See, if you look right across to her 7th house, there's Sagittarius, because they try to push a Gemini into Sagittarius energy, which is the 9th house, which is a little bit more mature and won't be as quick to say, okay, let's separate or allow separation to occur. A Sagittarius will work a little bit harder. Raguel is the archangel for the 9th house for Sagittarius, and he is called the friend of God. And even on one archangel card, you see him holding the scales of the balance, and that's kind of like even alluding to twin flames. Not just twin flames, any form of balance, but twin flames is alluded, and he's the friend of God. So a lot of Sagittarius, they tend to be in some form of helping people. They're in some form of field where they're helping people. They're good listeners, pretty good friends. So that's why they try to get a person to cultivate that Sagittarius energy, and therefore their relationships won't fail so quick. So the first house is Aries, and its IM is Aries. So that's what that's how the world would see the person, and that's how they are in the first house. Now, whenever you see Cancer in the 2nd house, you're dealing with maternal. This is a family, because this is Cancer. Cancer rules the 4th house of higher education, land and property. When I say, teenage to adult education, I'll leave Sagittarius for the higher education. So the 4th house ruled by Cancer, teenage to adult education, land and property, even real estate, family, ancestors, the heart, vehicles, possibly travel. And again, whoever raised this person when they were younger, whoever raised them in a motherly capacity, that's called Aimon Coeli, which will be with the person. So their 2nd house is ruled by Taurus, and is all about possessions, finances, and value systems. So they'll have somewhat of a nurturing way of handling those things. But again, whenever you see that 2nd, 4th house connection, they may have some type of connection of land or property or real estate. So we're going to look at good fortune in the 2nd house. This person will have the drive, the patience, and the endurance and willingness to use their personal assets, talents, abilities, and efforts to strive for financial success. They feel happy when they draw money, possessions, and collections to themselves. This is how they express themselves. So good, they say good fortune in the second house is good for money. And he's saying, even though you might have a need for financial concern, you may feel that. He's saying if you have good fortune in the second house, you shouldn't have to worry about it. But also, you got to understand this is family minded too. So this type of person probably, when they see money, whoever they consider family, they're seeing money as a way to better help this family. And Cancer does worry about security. Now we'll do good fortune in Cancer. Good fortune is that circle with the X going through it. It's also called part of fortune. Again, this type of person, good fortune in Cancer, is warm, nurturing, and maternal, motherly. This person with the good fortune Cancer seeks security in the domestic circle. For them, security is essential for happiness and success. Alright, so now there is some concern in the second house with Lilith retrograde. Because with Lilith retrograde, her second house is all about nurturing. So finance, getting finances has to do with her security, her family security, and things like that. But with Lilith retrograde, it causes things to go inward, and they're kind of forced to acknowledge parts of themselves that they denied about themselves. So whatever they have going on, and whenever you see retrogrades, it could be past life, but the second house is forcing them to see something, and we may learn more about this as we go into the chart. But it's hard to assume, but Lilith is retrograde there for a reason. It's forcing them to go internal. And one thing might be, because sometimes a person say, look, I'm just trying to put food on the table for my loved ones and things. But that can be prescribed as being materialistic. So what Lilith retrograde does is make you internally begins to push you, so to say, to make you really question yourself. What's my real motivation? Why am I doing this? And it says whenever something is retrograde, it's involved with internalization inside of yourself, but it makes it harder to express or release externally. And a person has to be careful because when that button is pushed, they can become critical, like a uranium nuclear bomb. It says, so you don't want to turn into that person. But there's that possibility with Lilith retrograde, because they're really focusing on income, and the way they see it is, I'm just putting money on the table, security for me and my family. But it'll be a lot of things challenging that, like, okay, what's the real reason, or are you being too overly concerned or overly worried about material things? And then if things don't go the person's way with Lilith retrograde, they may kind of even blow up. And see, Cancer is an emotional sign too. It's a water sign. So you have to be careful of all those emotions. So that's Lilith retrograde. Now, and this would be Lilith if it was just direct, but hers is retrograde. So with Lilith in the second house, the natural inclination is to gather skills, develop consistency and stability to ensure survival, and live in ways that reflect one's positive feeling of self-worth. But all these things become wrapped up in Lilith issues. Lilith issues can include rejection from one's natural expression of what is important to being more than one who is. In general, allowing betrayal from others to condition us to betray ourselves is a maladaptation to life, i.e., it's clear they don't accept me, so why should I accept myself? Okay, so I would just label that as a Lilith issue. Because somehow Lilith is here. Actually, it's like you bring somebody on your team, but they're actually going totally against what the team is about. So this is something we do here in third dimensional, but you never allow others to define you. You have to do that yourself. No one can define you. And a lot of people make that mistake in relationships. They think no one can define you but you, and you're doing yourself a disservice when you let anybody define you but you. So they say Lilith this is the second house of self-worth. So the rejection of one's value system by and the withholding of approval from others of what one finds important can lead to terrible and destructive patterns of self-abuse that can in fact threaten survival. So that's deep. When Lilith is in the second house, it's critical that a person learns to take back the power from others that others took from them. And the power that the others took from them is the power regarding the judgment of what he or she is worth. So you have to learn self-compassion for yourself and for others. So it's interesting how that worked. Because here's a person that really is just trying to put food on the table, but I just call it negative energy. But negative energy, and I like Lilith. Me and Lilith are friends. Somebody just asked me about Lilith. I get a lot of people saying they represent Lilith, but me and Lilith go way back. I don't have a problem with Lilith at all. But a lot of people give her a bad connotation. But what they're saying is this what they're saying negative energy, where this person just wants to put food on the table and provide, but Lilith is there to actually, Lilith retrograde is there to question that. What are your real motives? Your materialistic, anything, just to play mind games on a person. And they say this person will be prone to play games with it. And see, I've learned you can't let anybody play mind games on you. And so they could actually lose their own value, self-value, and their value system because somebody externally may not respond to them the way they want. So that's a big one. That's a big one. All right. Now we're going into the third house, which is Leo. But this is a highly creative person. And not only are they creative, but they also have finances coming out of the third house. So because of their ascendant, Gemini, now in the third house with Leo. Leo and Gemini are very creative. Leo rules the fifth house, all about fun, romance, children. And this is a very child-minded person because every house they've had so far is children. Gemini, younger children, younger education. Cancer, the family, which is still nurturing children. And then third house is going to be children with Leo, and Leo is children. So this is a very children-minded person, but they're being blessed by it. Jupiter is blessing them because of it. So they like to go, they like to travel. A lot of stuff is like shorter distance travel because that's the third house. Still a community, fun, romance, getting out, taking risks, childlike ways, creation. So that's all in the first three houses. Now, before we get into the busy houses, we're going to go the other way. We're going to go into, let's go into the 12th house. I'll be back in a minute. Alright, so whenever you see Taurus in the second house, now, so you have some second house issues. Because you're 12th house, and that's anybody, so don't take it personal. 12th house is everybody's house of reckoning. That's your second house. It's ruled by Pisces, which is the spiritual inspirational house, and that's ruled by planet Neptune. But it's your house of reckoning, your house of subconscious dreams, karma, past life. And as you see, you got that Chiron retrograde, that Chiron retrograde, which means you've had some wounding in these areas that haven't been healed yet. So, and your east point is where the sun goes over the ecliptic when you're born. So you see your second house is ruled by a Taurus, and then you have Taurus there. So it might be maternal, could be something with a parent, but it's definitely something there. And you also had that issue there with Lilith. So she might have been running a guilt trip on you. Like I said, the more you develop the chart. See, I try to help people, but what I've learned, and I tend to be very honest. What I've learned is, people have to want it, because until a person wants something, they're never gonna go for it. And you could tell them a billion times. Like I just got to give you an example. A person can have every excuse in the world for whatever. Oh no, I'm not ready. Oh, that's not for me. Oh, one day I'll get to that. Everything. But if that person loves to take a cruise, they just got to hear it one time. Cruise? What? When? Where? Now they got the pen and paper out. Now they're taking notes. They're asking questions because they really want to be on that ship and they really want to get that cruise. So if it's somebody that's late all the time, they're always late. But when it's something they want to do, all of a sudden they're waking up early, they're there early. Like I said, and for that person is habitually late, if they know that cruise ship is leaving off that pier, off that dock at 9 a.m., it's pulling out, you best believe they may be one of the first, they may be there at 8:30, but they're going to be like the first top 10 in line. Like, they're going to be there. And if for any reason, because they're a habitual latecomer, they get there late, and they see that ship leaving, it's left the pier, it left the dock, and now it's out there in the water. If you think that person is not going to throw their luggage into the water and dive on top of it, and with their hands, like a raft, or whatever you call that, when you're using the two oars, or whatever you call it, back and right, they're going to do that with their hands and catch up to that boat, because they love the cruise. They're going to find every means to be there. So that's what the situation is. You have to want it. So all I can do is teach and tell people. Then after that, they have to make their own decisions. But it looks like it was motherly, kind of like guilt issues. And she still carries that. Like if you've ever watched TV and a woman, she would cook all the time. And her husband noticed that whenever she would cook something, she would like do something with the pan, or it was a certain pan. But she made sure the pan had a dent in it. And she always cooked that way. So finally her husband said, like after 15 years of watching her do this, religiously, faithfully, he finally said to her, honey, how come when you cook, you always make sure that pan, or you use a pan with a dent in the center of it? And she said, I just watched my mother. That's how my mother always did it. That's how I do it, And he said, but why? And she was like, oh, my mother, I don't know. So she decided to ask her mother, Mom, why did you always put a dent in the pan? And the mother said, I didn't put a dent in the pan. I dropped that pan one time and it just had a dent in it. I was just cooking it. It was no big deal. But she religiously stayed devoted to it. So what I've learned, whatever good or bad I went through with my parents, you thank them for what they did. You learn what not to do and what to do. And also like the 1950s or whatever, is not 2018. So you have to learn to adapt and adjust. It's just the way it is. Or we can go through life blaming mom, blaming dad, blaming everything in society that's evil or anything that's happened to us. And when we're like that, nobody can really help you. And I'm just honest. I just love what I do. I stay honest and I just help where I can. But you can't help somebody who has this picture of how life is and how it's going to be. And, you know, so I can just tell them, and then from then on, they got to make their own choices. So that's the first thing I would say. It seems like something motherly land. I don't know. And see, it's all connected. Like your twin will be connected to your mom's or your dad. I've done so many charts, and you could just see it. So it gets that way. But again, there is victory. The first thing you have to learn is what I just said. You gotta see life every day as a new opportunity. You can't keep saying, "Oh, somebody hurt me," or "Somebody broke my heart," "Oh, this happened to me," or "Why is this happening to me?" And because then you just keep on bringing it back and bringing it back. So that's the 12th house. That's what it's dealing with: the pains, the suffering, wounds, the self-conscious, the dreams. And it does deal with the 8th house, because a lot of stuff that's in that 8th house, which is also the shadow side, is really in that 12th house. And the 12th house can deal with alcoholism, drugs, addictions. It just depends. Prostitution, animals, almost like the same stuff that's in the 8th house, but it's all the subconscious mind and the dreams. Now, so what happens with the Taurus? See, once again, Taurus is all about a value system, finances, and wealth. But what happens with a Taurus sometimes is a couple of things happen with a Taurus. One is not really the Taurus's fault, but universally speaking, people are drawn to Tauruses. In other words, if you're a Taurus and you go somewhere and sit and you don't want to be bothered, especially in the 12th house, because that's kind of like, it's like isolation, but it's also like helping people, like even like church or something like that. It deals with buildings, hospitals, mental wards, police stations, prisons, any confined building. But what happens sometimes is you may want to be alone, but people are going to be drawn to you. Somebody's going to try to find a way to get you into a conversation. You'll see people staring at you. You might not want to be bothered, but this person's trying their best to figure a way to have a conversation with you. Now, Taurus is also like if a room has a few people in it and they say, okay, we're going left. But if a Taurus comes in and somehow the Taurus says something about going right, for some reason the people will just change and go right. I'm not saying that happens all the time, but that is a universal. It's something about a Taurus where they have magnetic personality. So I'm not saying that's a universal law that'll happen every time, but it does happen. So what a Taurus has to be careful of, though, some Tauruses say, since I'm a little smarter, like they want to use what they know, their knowledge, for themselves. Like they feel like I should get a better check or all that. But when Taurus is in the 12th house, it's all about helping other people. So they have to use that confidence, that boldness, and that skill to teach other people so that those people can become gifted. That's Taurus in the 12th house. Taurus must also watch out about, because it loves to place value on things. But you should never place value on people. What do I mean by that? Say you know two people, Doug and Dennis. Oh, now you know Doug because Doug helps out and Doug is very helpful to you. So you know Doug, you know Doug's family, you know his family's names, you know Doug has 2 daughters and a son, you know who's in college, who's in school. So you know everything about Doug. Hey Doug, how you doing? How's your day? Doug, how's your wife? Doug, hey, has Susie feeling better? Oh, you know Doug very well. But there comes Dennis. Now Dennis ain't never did jack dilly squat for you. So you don't even want to talk to Dennis. You think Dennis is a loser. You barely don't even want to look at him. You don't want to make eye contact because you could care less about Dennis. Because see, that's putting a value system on people. So they warn a Taurus against doing that. Don't put a value system on people. And sometimes with that motherly nurturing you got going on between the 12th and the 2nd house, you may mean well, but you're bullying. So they say you still have to let people make their own decisions. Depending on who they are. Of course, you can't. If they're your kids, that's different. But other than that. So that is your 12th house. And something happened in your 12th house that hurts you and it hasn't healed yet. That Chiron. And we may find out more, who knows, as we do the chart. So far that's the 12th, 1st, 2nd, 3rd house. house is. Now, the ninth house, ruled by Sagittarius, has your medium Coeli. Now, your medium Coeli has to do with your life purpose. Excuse me for a moment. It helps out your true north node. Your true north node looks like a horseshoe. So when we get there, we'll be coming back to your ninth house. All right. So your ninth house, medium Coeli, deals with your true north node, which is your true life purpose. The medium Coeli is an aspect of your true north node or your life purpose. But your ninth house, which we already explained to you, all about higher self, higher education, long distance and travel. With Aquarius there, again, this is a person who wants to teach others. That's what Aquarius does. The motto for Aquarius is I know. But they want to get information so that they can teach others. So again, you see the connection between Aquarius and Gemini. And the reason why they put Aquarius in your ninth house, not only will you be teaching like higher stuff, maybe harder to understand information, you'll be doing it to other people. But see, the Sagittarius or the ninth house can deal with the internet just like Aquarius can. But this person is going to find a non-conventional way to communicate and think that's going to be part of their purpose as well. But your Aquarius rules the 11th house, and there you see Aries. So Aries is going to be kind of aggressive, and the motto for Aries is I am. So even in your 11th house for friends and association and groups, which is ruled by Aquarius, these may even be people foreign to you. They might be people online. They may be your community. Because I'm not saying this person is somewhat antisociable, but there are indications of it. But I'm not going to fully say that's the case just yet. But either way, with Aries and Gemini, they are somewhat reserved. I mean, they don't strive for deeper knowledge, and that's one of the reasons why they have Gemini. They have your Aquarius in the ninth house, because Sagittarius goes a little bit deeper. So it's important for this person to learn to go deeper. Now, I'm pretty sure we did your 12th house. It just said something happened. This was on pause. I thought it wasn't. I just found out. So this is kind of like a retake. So just to make sure, the 12th house is all about working with people, not being bullyish, and not thinking that the world owes you something because maybe you're a little bit more knowledgeable. So it's to use your knowledge to help people. But we did do your 12th house, and then we went around. But I did want to bring that up. All right. Now your 4th house is all about that Saturn and Moon. It's about something abusive you went through. It would be and abuse could be in different forms. It could be verbal, physical. It could be any form of abuse. But it was masculine energy. Now, because the moon is right there, it could be a motherly masculine energy, or even a mother who went through something with her father. Because the Saturn is usually masculine energy, or it's a masculine mother. But either way, it kind of left you feeling a certain way. Now remember, Virgo rules your 6th house, but that's home, health, healing, small children. So you see small children all throughout your chart. And I really think they're also talking about the child in you. Your inner self needs healing as well, because that's what Virgo does. Healing, home, small children, small animals, daily activities, subordinates, co-workers. And this is your true north node. So your 9th house and your 4th house are working together. Now you have to be careful of Virgo, because Virgo is critically Like they could find any detail. I mentioned how I used to do resumes throughout my lifetime, and every time I took it to my mother to proofread, she could find errors within 5 seconds. As soon as she looked at it, she could see the errors. And I used to get mad because it happened like about four times or five. And I think I literally stopped showing her my resumes because I couldn't believe it. Because I would sit up there and go over them with a fine toothpick and comb, knowing that it wasn't no errors, and every time she could always find them. But you have to be careful because Libra and Virgo, they tend to kind of be idealistic, and they don't go too well when somebody breaks their what they think things should be. But nobody's perfect. So if you're looking for an ideal whatever, you're only going to bring yourself to much heartbreak. There's no ideal situation. Everybody's going to have faults and flaws. We're on a planet that's very problematic. A lot of problems here, and we have to learn how to work through them. And I also told you about Mother Mary, because this is all metaphysical. And I told you about Mother Mary at the cross of Jesus Christ. And in the Mel Gibson movie, she was there cleaning up Jesus' blood. So everything we go through in life, whether we know it or not, is metaphysical. And the reason why more people are waking up is because we're at the end of this age. And whenever you read your Bible, it's always two angels or two witnesses that show up at the end, because it's just about over. And that's why I said the best thing you can do for your twin flame situation is to work on yourself. Because everybody's looking for somebody else to make them feel love and make them feel a certain way. But if you're messed up inside, how much love do you think you're going to be able to give to that person? So the best thing you can do is actually start to heal yourself. And that's what Virgo is there for. To heal yourself, because you'll be in a better place to work with them. And the more you heal, the more your twin will heal, because it's the same soul, different body. And also I talked about the Mel Gibson movie where you saw Mother Mary cleaning up the blood after the beatdown of Jesus and things. All this is metaphysical, and we go through it. Whether it's emotional pain, of child abuse, whatever it is, we all go through some type of pain on this planet. And then I said Mel Gibson. The Bible talks about a Melchizedek, and that's all about sacrifice. He's a high priest, so it's all about sacrifice and healing, atonement. So this is what this is really about. Separation. The same separation God felt with humankind, He puts us through with twin flames. It's a highly metaphysical and higher than third dimensional situation. And of course, in your fourth house, your true north node doesn't have an aura. Whenever you see a true north node without aura, that means wherever that true north node is that house had problems. So that's what we're seeing here. And again, I've been encouraging you. It could just be worked on. It's not. I mean, we could cry and heal, because Virgo is about healing. We can cry and heal, but we just don't want to stay third dimensional anymore, because we're leaving third dimensional. That's what. See, when your twin came in your life, it was a wake up call. Just like when the two angels came to Sodom and Gomorrah, or the two witnesses came down in Revelation 11. It's a wake up call. It could turn into a love story, but it's more of a wake up call, because you can never be separated from your twin. And if you're healing yourself, your twin is going to heal. And if you stop seeing everything so third dimensional, you'll be able to heal yourself much quicker and find out why you're really here and what your true north, your life purpose really is. All right. And hers is fourth house healing. Not saying her twin won't be a part of it, but hers is a fourth house healing, which also deals with the sixth house because of Virgo in the home. Now in the fifth house, because of Libra, Pluto is always changing you and purging you. But they said that Pluto is telling you you're here for a reason. So you have to know what your purpose is. But they also talked about your children. And I read this. Give me a second. I read it myastrologybook.com. But it says with Pluto and Libra in the fifth house, or Pluto and Libra, your children will be something like you. Like your children will be a mirror of you. And they said if you really want to see yourself, look at your children as well. But you won't. You're more in a place to communicate with the person you're in a relationship with or partnership with, or any type of contract you're more inclined to talk to them with fun. See, in order for a person to get to you, they have to get to your inner self. Because I guess that's still like a form of escapism. You want to have fun. And then Mercury's right there to help you talk more. And even number 6 is Venus, the number of love. So Pluto's purging you to get to where your purpose is. But it's also Pluto is trying to help clear you or clean you. Clear you of any past repression you're holding on to. Your 5th house is ruled by Leo, and again, Leo can deal with small children, but you see a lot of small children indicators on your chart. Small children having fun, very creative, traveling, taking risks, opposing authority. And now you get to your 6th house, which is a house of healing. So we already told you what's in the 6th house with Virgo. And you even got Venus there for love. But very intense. And I'm going to tell you why. Very intense. We're going to do this first. This is definitely a soul situation. Because you got Scorpio right there. That crosses the vertex. It can mean a significant event that's going to happen in your life at this time. Significant meeting, significant breakup, or some type of soul connection. Now that soul connection could be a soulmate. A soulmate is anybody in your soul family. But it could also be your twin soul. Same soul, different body. Your twin flame. So this is where you're going to meet this person. But you got Uranus, Venus, and Mars. And it's Mars, Uranus, and Venus. Now what is that telling you? That at any given moment, because of everything you've been through, you can go passive aggressive, extremely combative, angry, or extremely like loving. But it's all gonna be obsessive. It's gonna be wow, because that's Scorpio. Before we leave your side, the left side of this chart on the left, we will read all of Scorpio. Everything that's in Scorpio, because your 6th house is your 8th house, because Scorpio rules your 8th house. But you have a lot of other stuff going on here that I'll be looking at too. But I'm just trying to give an overall analysis before I go a little bit deeper. So this is the home. So your home is like, wow. You know? So that would be the first thing I would say. You want to try to get some order in the house, because it's based on these emotions that can go anywhere. And like I said, some people like that. Like, oh, the sex was great. You know? Because some people like that. Like certain ethnic groups, they like that. They like arguing. They like arguments coming out of nowhere. And then great sex. And you could have some people like it. I mean, if you and your partner like that, then it's cool, because everybody's different. But this house is explosive, and this is the home area, the home sector. So when we read more about Scorpio, it'll better explain the house. But basically, I'm just telling you, it's explosive. It's very watery, very emotional, very explosive, and you're dealing with this person. And I'm assuming it's going to be people, but they can go from any. And I used to have a friend that used to come over and would sit, because it's me, my younger sister. We're 3 years apart. My older sister no longer alive. My younger sister, but we were all 3 years apart. And we would have a friend that would just come over and sit. So one day, I think we asked him, well, who did you come to see? Like, you always come over here and you just sit. Who do you come to see? He said, I don't come to see nobody. He said, your family is so crazy. It's just funny sitting over here and shit. So he would just come over and just sit, just to laugh at the crazy shit. So that's what this is, explosive. All right, again, seventh house relationship. 'Cause like I said, she likes to travel. She likes to go short distance. She likes to go long distance. But as long as she's traveling, she's happier. So that's Sagittarius. So in order her to see, I remember I told you Sagittarius is the more mature energy, and Sagittarius is Raguel, Archangel, and he's like the friend of God. So now your seventh house is the house you want to put a lot of your energy in, because that's Vesta, and Vesta is a priestess. Uh, Palace helps you see patterns, but you have to be careful because you'll burn out. So all that energy you're putting into the seventh house, you have to be careful because you can burn out. Now, whenever you see Neptune and Sagittarius, plus you got a lot of Leo on your chart, that's a person that's connected, like not just connected to they're connected to the world around them. They're connected to other worlds, because that's what that is. That's like telekinesis and whatever. Some people might say telekinesis is just moving stuff. I would beg to differ. I mean, it might be, but it's more that, well, how are you moving it? Like, but I could have said telepathy, but that's limited, because this person would definitely be connected to their twin, but they're connected to a lot through Neptune, Sagittarius, probably Aquarius in the ninth house, and also Pisces in the 12th. And remember, all this is helping her to stay in a relationship with her twin. And that's why I said everything happens for a reason. Because I just didn't mention it, but there's a lot of synchronicities between her and my family in the numerology. I already saw that. But I get that sometimes. But you're like, you have a lot of Leo on your chart. And there's a reason why I'm a Leo. Like, my sun sign is a Leo. My moon sign is Capricorn. So there's a reason for everything. And sometimes that's why I say people will get readings and it'll affect them in a certain way. But once they hear it, the universe is working on them. So some of the stuff I say, they may not like it or whatever in the beginning, but as time goes by, it serves its purpose. See, my obligation to the universe is to stay humble, stay decent, and just tell the truth. Now, you also see how your Jupiter is in Leo. Jupiter rules Sagittarius. So this is a highly psychic person. But they're connected to everything. Universe, everything. So again, in order for, like I said this in your fifth house. I'm going to say it again in your seventh house. In order for her to want to stay in a relationship, it has to be on the move, travel in some type of way. Even if she met some computer nerd and he could take her online and worldwide stuff, World Wide Web, but she's got to be on the move, because she's not going to really be with it if she feels bogged down. And I guess that's part of the escapism she's going through. She just wants to get away. Now in your eighth house, again, so this is probably an old soul, but that's your Juno, which means you're going to meet Capricorn, who will probably be an old soul, and that's where you get nurturing from. Because it doesn't look like you got a lot of nurturing, the kind of nurturing you wanted. Like what child wouldn't want their mother to hug them or talk nice to them? But you get your nurturing from this Capricorn. And see, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is in your fourth house again with the home. So now we're going to look at Capricorn in the eighth house. Pretty much that's going to be like an old soul. Capricorn, especially like I'm a moon sign. I'm definitely an old soul. Moon sign Capricorn. But yours is Capricorn in the eighth house. Okay, Capricorn in the 8th house. You're likely to be the authority figure in matters of financial. That's going back to that nurturing. And it's funny because she has that, and she has nurturing there too. Yeah, for some, I don't know what it is, but it's something about income or a job that people strive to. Like a lot of people, when they get hurt in a relationship, they become workaholics. But she said you likely strive to be the authority figure in matters of financial, material, and physical resources you share with others. Or that, and remember, Capricorn rules your 10th house. So once again, you're seeing a psychic person because you got the Pisces and Scorpio. These are very psychic people. They're water signs that you may like to be. They're saying that's what it is. Either you want to be the authority figure in financial matters, material, physical resources that you share with others, because your 8th house is about sharing your resources. Or they're saying you likely to be the submissive one to someone of power, authority, or higher status, and you may prefer that person takes the reins when it comes to resource issues. Now, the reason why that's important, because if you go to her 4th house, you have Virgo there, which represents the 6th house of the home. So this is family and home, and you have Saturn right there, which is the authority. So like I said, I keep saying it's some type of moon, motherly, Saturnian, masculine thing going on. And I told you it could even be the twin, because they're all connected. Like if I told you how many times things was going on with my twin, and somehow the I Moon Coeli popped in. Like my twin's name is basically Rose, and it just Rose will come out of nowhere. A person buys a rose for no known reason, or a business card with Rose on the kitchen table. It'll always be at significant times. Like one time, just to tell you how this I Moon Coeli works. My younger sister recently celebrated a big birthday. She gave everybody a rose. Now, I'm chilling, minding my own business. Certain person's out of town, chilling. The rose is on a little vase, on a oven or whatever. Cause that's important. That was a big birthday, and I like that she gave me a rose, and I'm just chilling, minding my own business. This person comes home from wherever they were at. Soon as they walk in the door, they're not in the door for 5 minutes, and they throw that rose in the garbage. Now that's I Moon Coeli. Now I could go deeper with this whole thing, but just to show you, that's all I Moon Coeli. But there's always a connection. Now, however, it is important for you to distinguish the difference between having the authority to call the shots and giving one's power away to someone else entirely. So I'm hoping her twin is in that Saturn energy or that Capricorn energy, because that's the last thing she needs is somebody bullying her. She's been through enough. So they're telling you that this is now. I'm getting this from astrologyclub.org. Capricorn in the 8th house. They're saying you need to be aware of your tendency to either really be maybe too much of a bully when it comes to the resources, or the income, or whatever I said, or being too subjective to let somebody bully you. Don't give your power away to someone by allowing them to control and manipulate you physically, emotionally, materially, or any other type of way. But you also can't be bullying, like I said about your 12th house. Remember I told you the 12th house and the 8th house are similar? See, your 12th house has Taurus. Taurus rules your 2nd house, which is your money. But your 8th house, where Capricorn is, and that's your career sector, who rules the 10th house, that's other people's money. So again, she may even have some type of spiritual career that deals with other people's money. Only she would really know that. So they're telling you don't be a bully or try to overpower other people by controlling or manipulating them through. It doesn't. The 8th house is not just manipulating people through money. It could be through sex. It could be through emotions. It's any type of manipulating or power struggle, because that's really what that is. Since the natural ruler of Capricorn is Saturn, it could make you for a very serious approach on the part of the Capricorn, of a very serious approach for searching for truth. Now, truth can be any discipline which has the essence of truth involved. Capricorn in the 8th house might more than likely tend to be dogmatic in its approach to the truth. So you got the same message in your 8th house that you have in your 2nd house. You can't be dogmatic. You can't be a bully. So they say Capricorn in the 8th house, and that's basically what mine is. My Capricorn is right on the 7th. Well, my moon is right in the 7th and 8th house. I think my Capricorn is 8th house, I think. But they say this type of person would be more dogmatic, seeking more the religious approach rather than the broad perspective of truth, which is involved in all knowledge and all disciplines. So they say this Capricorn would be participating in group activities such as church or school, because we keep coming back to the whole Sunday school thing. So they're saying you want to participate in these activities with other people, but with the right way, for the right reasons, the right motives. So they say actually Capricorn and Scorpio, the natural ruler of the 8th house, are almost antithetic in their qualities. Scorpio is bold. Capricorn is timid. Scorpio will go to the depths or the heights to achieve their understanding and union. Capricorn is more concerned with security than with that kind of depth or boldness. So that's interesting. So we've been talking about, see, Cancer is the same way about security, but they're kind of like almost pushing you to go deeper. So where you see Sagittarius at, or the 9th house, and where you see Capricorn in your 8th house, they're encouraging you to go deeper, to really get an understanding, not just accumulate information. Like they want you to feel how people feel, not just go, well, I go to church and I know, people are struggling and I try to help out where I can. They want you to feel like, oh wow, this dude just got kicked out. He was only like 30 minutes late, and they said, okay, this is the 6th time. We warned you, you're out of there. They want you to like feel it. Those are just examples. That's what they mean. So they want you, when they say truth, they don't want you just to have a knowledge of the truth. They want you to feel it, like really feel it. So Capricorn in your 12th house is also trying to help you have spirituality. They just read it. I just read it. And remember, Capricorn rules your 10th house, which is Pisces, spirituality, which rules your 12th house, where Taurus is. So like I said, in a past life, you just had the wrong view of maintaining. Like it became, basically, it became for the wrong reason. Like you could have a right motive. I'm just trying to put food on my table. But if you become aggressive towards it, or you don't have the qualities that we've been saying throughout this video, then you're doing it for the wrong reason. So they're trying to kind of coerce you to repent and do it for the right reason, like spiritual reason. See, spiritual, and this is the part nobody wants to hear. That's why I don't waste my breath usually. But spiritual is, even it's a great master teacher out here, and he said it too. He said the reason why most people are not really spiritual, they act like they are, but they're not. He said because as much as they complain about this planet we're on and the powers of authorities that we're under, he said at the end of the day they still want the big TVs, they still want the big playgrounds for your kids, they want all this stuff. So that's not spiritual, that's materialistic. And he said, this is what he said, and then he said and all your kid really needs is to be loved and fed, taken care of, but basic needs. But we're out here with all this high electronic stuff and we got to get fences because now we got to protect the property. He said we're really going out. So that's what they're kind of saying here is that that's why we said when we first started to question the motives. So that seems to be the theme. It's a lot that needs to be worked on here. I'm not gonna lie, but that's another one of the main themes was what is the motive, the real motive. And sometimes, like I said, when people were told by their own parents certain things, like I just got finished watching a movie not too long ago. This guy was out taking all the risk in the world. He was a risk taker. Like this person, she wants to get out and have fun because she's still that little kid, you know. And I said it, like I said it, and I thought this thing was running, but it wasn't. It was on pause. But I saw a movie where a grown man, he was a grown man, but his father used to beat him. But he was a grown man, and something happened, and it kind of triggered him, and he fell on the ground. He curled up and started saying, "Please don't hit me no more, Daddy. Please don't hit me no more." And he was just crying. And he was a grown man, so he had never got healing for everything he had been through. So Saturn rules karma. So again, when you see Saturn, it might be a karmic situation and the responsibilities that we have in this life. From the viewpoint of reincarnation, and it is the natural ruler of Capricorn, it causes the Capricorn to be very aware of the cause and effect of all Capricorn's actions, his thoughts and deeds. So in your fourth house and your eighth house, deal a little bit about karma as well. So you want to be more spiritual. They say sometimes if you did something in a past life, you'll actually choose to be put into a family like that. So Capricorn in the eighth house brings a higher degree of self-awareness as it relates to all life. In Capricorn, there can be a persistence or a persistent quality in seeking and studying the mysteries of life, which some of the other signs lack. So now you have a better understanding about Capricorn in your eighth house. Now, so we keep talking about Scorpio and Capricorn in the eighth ruled by Scorpio. So Scorpio in your sixth house of healing, Capricorn in your eighth. And you'll be meeting somebody. Juno means you'll be in a serious relationship with a Capricorn, and it'll be nurturing for you. All right. So now that is your 12 houses. So now you have a few number 12s there on your chart. But what I'm really interested in was your fifth house, your sixth house, and your seventh house. Because you got a lot of recurring numbers. All right, so we're going to look at those. We might look at some more as well. We'll see. All right, so the most important thing you should know from your chart is you definitely got a Mother Mary connection from everything I've been explaining. But now, for the most part, whenever you have a number 6, you're dealing with Venus. All this is the divine feminine. But it's ironic how your Venus has that 17. So we're going to look at a couple. We're going to do a few numerology. And then the final thing we're going to do before we leave your side, the left side, and go to the right, we'll read all the Scorpio, the 8th house. This is 6 degrees Libra. Passionate, self-righteous, and determined character. Depending on the natal chart, one is symbolized by the bird of prey or the triangle. The former describes an aggressive and spiteful person who puts his intelligence at the service of base ambitions and does not hesitate to resort to cruel actions in order to defeat his opponent. Now, what I'm sensing, that may have been you in a past life, so you're kind of paying for it in this life. There are dangers of severe injuries by fire and sword. You have to remember that Aries is a fire sign, definitely represents fires, and sword or combat is Mars. As for the triangle, it indicates a strong interest in spirituality, religion, or sociology, but also some sort of over assertiveness, which borders on intolerance. In both cases, one must renounce all forms of excess and violence. Then, as one ages, one becomes able to help other people overcome psychological and moral crises. So, you kind of see that in that area, even though it's in the 5th house, but with all that Mars and because you got Pluto there, but all that Mars and Uranus and all that in the 6th house, you could definitely see that. So 6 degrees Scorpio. They said wealth is acquired through sheer luck. It might be an old treasure hidden by forebears or an unexpected bequest. This person can either increase the riches granted or they might squander them. They might find occupations dealing with precious stones and anything buried in the earth. And this will bring the kind of success one had never dared to imagine, even in the wildest dreams. So that's a possibility. We're going to do 17 degrees Scorpio. Bold, sensual, and passionate character. One may become famous in plastic arts through some scandalous controversy, a sensational love affair, or some dangerous occupation. Moral standards are questioned and may lead to prison. However, the degree tremendously favors success. And that's with Venus. (15 degrees Sagittarius). conceited, ambitious, and envious character. One cannot afford the luxury which one is powerfully attracted to. Instead of banking on one's personal qualities and making every effort to become rich, one prefers to covet people's wealth. However, if one is determined to keep self-centeredness and arrogance tightly reined in with a lot of hard work and the help of one's entourage, one can achieve the financial success one so badly yearns for. (24 degrees) Sagittarius. Sensual and materialistic character, unwilling to fight one's weakness. There's a strong tendency to burn one's candle at both ends, which exposes to all sorts of physical and moral dangers. When excesses also affect the spiritual area, one is narrow-minded and sectarian. This degree may indicate an eye disease threatening the sight. So this degree may indicate an eye disease threatening the sight. And that's Vesta. Is it Vesta? Let me see it again. Yep, that's Vesta in a relationship sector. And then Juno also at 24 degrees. So you have to analyze yourself and see has 24 primarily the number 24. But even if you saw 42, but primarily the number 24, has that ever affected your life, and how did it affect your life? Because Vesta and Juno are heavy hitters. 24/7. 24 degrees Capricorn. Let's do 12 degrees Capricorn and 24 degrees Capricorn. Aggressive, sarcastic, and manipulative character. When divide and rule is a model, with divide and rule as a model, one stirs up arguments and fights, and one instills distrust and suspicion, supposedly in order to help people discover the truth, but actually to favor one's self-interest. If the natal chart indicates high moral principles, one puts one's sharp intelligence at the service of the general public. 24 degrees Cancer. Let's look at that again. 24 degrees Capricorn. Ambitious, clever, and irascible character. Success requires continuous learning and training, similarity to the pianist, 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 or the dancer who practices every day. It is necessary to constantly hone one's skill in order to maintain them at the highest possible level. It is at this condition that one can achieve success in a career requiring dexterity, or in education and literature. According to Manlius, a Roman astrologer and poet of the 1st century of the Christian era, this degree endows with great manual and intellectual nimbleness, but also indicates that triumphs and celebrity are often followed by disfavor. So all of that is interesting. It seems to me, a lot of times when people have lived more than one lifetime, you'll get readings like this, because they'll be all over the place. Like, there'll be no definitive way to really define that person, because it's like they have different past lives, and that's what I say about karma, and that's why I say, and then they do it again because they come here and they don't want to do what they're supposed to, which means in the next life it's gonna be more, because it's just easier for people. Like I said, the 12th house is about keeping it in the closet, hiding it under the rug, and keep going on and going on. But I think a lot of this stuff is activities with their twin. All right, so now we'll read it. Give me a moment. I gotta find something. I just had it. Now, what I'm about to read is Scorpio, but Scorpio rules your 8th house. So anywhere where you see Scorpio 8th house, Scorpio in your 6th house, Capricorn in your 8th house, Capricorn rules your 10th house. And if you're dealing with your 6th house, you're also going to be dealing with Virgo in your 4th house of family. So that's wherever you see Cancer as well in the 2nd house. And then that's going to take you to the 8th house ruled by Pisces, but take you to the 12th house ruled by Pisces, but your 2nd house ruler is there. So it's all connected. The 8th house is ruled by Scorpio, which is ruled by Pluto and deals with secrets, sexual matters, mysteries, doubt, accusations, suspicions, supernatural psychic abilities, internal plotting, internal indignation, conspiracy, vengeance, revenge, anxiety, esoteric knowledge, forbidden knowledge, hidden knowledge, obsessions, addictions, compulsion, power struggles, manipulations, power manipulations, abuse, greed, lust, compulsive behavior, codependency, stalking, intense watery emotions, arguments, debates, tauntings, revenge, fear, anxiety, psychic abilities, great transformation, high sexuality, doubt, debt, taxes, IRS, legal matters, lawsuits, inheritances, law breaking, shared resources, finances, karma, business, other people's money, the soul, reincarnation, afterlife, birth, death, resurrection, rebirth, regeneration, rejuvenation, animalistic behaviors, freaky, down and dirty behaviors, psychological situations, studies, research, knowledge, forbidden knowledge, hidden knowledge, investigations, investigators, managers, agents, addictions, drugs, alcoholism, other worlds, creepy crawlies, other dimensions, science, higher sciences, holistic healing, spiritual healings, alternative medicine, internet, long distance, advanced technology, alchemy, metaphysics, sacred geometry, things that are forbidden, taboo, astrology, knowledge, hidden knowledge, aliens, higher self, deceived persons, astral planing, telekinesis, telepathy, dreams, interpretations, animals, enemies, Halloween, the divine womb, deities, tarot cards, Halloween, the divine womb, higher thoughts, inheritances, loans, banking, animals, pregnancy, women's body, and finance. The eighth house rules other people's money and transformation. And remember, your eighth house, because a Capricorn is directly connected to your 10th house, which is your career and reputation sector, which is Pisces. But this is a person that is spiritually dealing with other people's money. And they may have done that. I mean, they may spiritually have done that in any type of business, their own spiritual business, or any type of business. But it could even been at the church, whatever, secretary, anybody dealing with money at these spiritual locations. Why do I say spiritual? Because of Pisces in that 8th house. Other people's money can mean debt, taxes, inheritances, wills, joint finances. Because I'm not saying they did, but it's possible that they even had, because of their 4th house and 2nd house, they may actually have done stuff with, like, spiritual, other people's property is spiritually related, any type of real estate, office room, anything. But it definitely was financing. Could have been, not saying that it was, but could have been accounting or bookkeeping, anything. Any type of record kind. Like, a lot of people don't realize, even if you had like like your child had your child was selling cookies, but if you keep any type of record, that's still like bookkeeping. That's bookkeeping and accounting, because you're keeping records of the transactions, the people who gave or whatever. Taxes, inheritances, wills, joint finances, shared resources, and loans. This is all the 8th house. The 8th house is on an axis with the 2nd house, and is an axis of money. Like I said, money's definitely there. It's just not, it could be anything. It could even have been some type of, in a past life, they spiritually, uh, you know, maybe took advantage of people financially or something. And now they're getting this. So transformation can be emotional, physical, start of pregnancy, process of life, major transformations in a woman's body, and death, literally or figuratively. The 8th house is one of 3 relationship houses. 5th house is love. 7th house is commitment. 8th house is sex. All right. So that was interesting. Going right over to the chart to the right. East Point, ascendant, 1st house, Leo. Romantic, was very loyal, Looks out for people. Fun like, childlike. Likes to go travel. May be very creative. They can be viewed by people as being pushy or domineering or bossy or egotistic, want all attention on them, or a person that just brags about themselves. Second house, mother there. So why I'm saying mother, like Virgo to Mother Mary. Like the person to the left, her chart, she probably was affected by September 23rd, 2017, because that was all about the Mother Mary up in space. So this person too has that in their second house, got that whole motherly thing going on. So you already see a soul connection to her to the left. Third house is again interesting because this third house with Gemini is the twins anyway. But this person, in order for they want a partnership in communications, whatever they're doing, multitasking, whatever creativity they have, or poetry, or even short distance travel, or the environment, the world around you. Third grade, younger education, but they want that partner there, or could be legal or a relationship. And Palace helps them to see patterns. If Palace was retrograde, it would mean it helps them with social issues or be socially aware. But they may still be that way because of Palace. But usually that's Palace retrograde. Now again, we stop there before we get into a lot of activity, and we can go right to the seventh house though, because Libra rules the seventh house, and in the seventh house once again, it's Aquarius, but it's again a lot of Mars energy, but combative. This definitely looks combative energy. But see, Aquarius, Libra, again, they want to be in a relationship, but they still want their freedom. And these type, not saying all of them are the same way, but a lot of times they could care less if it's they don't worry. It could be different other people involved in the relationship, and that wouldn't bother them at all. So, but it might bother somebody else, which is why you see that Mars sticking his head like, what's your problem? But they want their freedom and they don't want nobody questioning regarding a relationship, and they are willing to fight to get that. Now you see it again, the moon and Lilith in the 12th house. Everything we were talking about her houses. This is how you know these two got a soul karmic relationship. We already described Lilith with the moon. So his chart is highly feminine too. But that's probably some mother issues there, and family issues because they put in the 12th house. So he'll anything the 12th house is telling you, okay, you got to stop, deal with this. You got to really come clean. Try to get the help you need to overcome these dark things hidden under rugs and in closets. And then again, very maternal, definitely a womanly presence. His 12th house is his fourth house. And when you see Lilith in a just a lot of feminine moon energy in that 12th house. So, but he's highly psychic too, because he got watery of Pisces and Cancer there. And the 12th house would be a psychic house. Yeah, because of Pisces. But it's a psychic house anyway. I'm going to say even just because of universal law. The 12th house is a very karmic past life psychic house, regardless. So he's got all that going on. So we're going to look at Lilith in the 12th house. Let's see. So this person will experience being Lilith in all contexts related to the way he or she connects with others and greater realms. To the degree that someone with this placement has internalized others' fears about the wild as a negative statement of his or her worth and lovability. 12th house activities will be limited, avoided, or denied. Now that's what he wrote. This is tdjacobs.com. That's his name, tdjacobs.com, not the preacher. It's somebody else. Now, but that's the whole point of your 12th house. You're not supposed to limit it. You're not supposed to avoid it. You're not supposed to deny it. You're supposed to reckon with it and live up to it so you can get the healing and move on. And the funny thing, when you don't do that, that means soon, like sometimes you see it on people's chart, like their 12th house becomes the ascendant. Why? Because they didn't work on the 12th house. So now the universe has said, okay, now you're going to do this all over again. So Lilith tries to move a person to enter into the meditative, creative, or spiritual side. So they say if Lilith's in your 12th house, they're telling you have to deal with it. Okay, now for him, in the 11th house, all about friends, and it's ruled by Aquarius. But he also has a Chiron retrograde. So for whatever reason, he got hurt in this life or a past life. But the 11th house is about friends, association, and groups. And then Gemini could be the community around you. But for the most part, that's all they're giving you so far as to why why it didn't occur. He may not have long-term relationships with his friends because of that Gemini energy, but only him and his people would know that. Now, 10th house of career is the bull. So if you want to understand his 10th house with the bull, you have to take a look at his 2nd house with the Virgo. But as you notice, nobody's there. Because Virgo has a very analytical, detailed oriented approach to money matters. But the bull kind of likes to have everything in place before he Losing. He's all about finances, possessions, and value systems. Now for number 9, again, this is Sagittarius energy, his true north node, and he's got vested there. So it's a lot of energy in this house. Very aggressive, likes to go, and it's a long distance. Everything we said about the 9th house. Religion, culture, language, and things like that. All right. Now the 8th house, highly psychic person with Pisces in the 8th house, highly psychic, intuitive, spiritually discerning, and he's making money that way. So that's his money house. This is his 8th house. Seventh. Well, we already talked about the 7th house. All right. Now going back to Scorpio again. Fourth house again. So you're gonna go over that whole stuff again. So this is a powerful house, especially with Pluto that transforming. But you see, he's got a lot of retrogrades. I mean, when I say a lot, it's only 2, but compared to the rest of his chart, I'm talking about 2 planets retrograde, but in the same house. That's why it's a lot, because he didn't have any, but till he gets to this, because we read everything in Scorpio, and that's what it's going to be. Everything I've read, so he could be experiencing any of that in the 4th house of family. So his 4th house is his 8th house, highly psychic, because he's got Pisces energy, Scorpio energy, Cancer energy. So a highly psychic person, very all these watery energies, but they're all psychic, intuitive. Oh, going back, I think we already did that. Yeah, we did. So whenever you see Palace, like in his 3rd house, Palace is there. Libra can mean social. Like he might really care about social issues. Because Palace, if it was retrograde, it deals with social issues. If it's direct, it deals with patterns. But I've learned to say, if you see Libra in Palace, it's probably a person that deals with a lot of social issues too. Or at least he talks about it. He's interested. But he might actually go out there and do something about it. It just depends. All right, so it's still nurturing in the 4th house, which is interesting. Because her nurturer, Charis, is in her 8th house as well. And he rules the 8th house. But now that's his sun sign. So sun signs in Scorpio, they're not afraid of like the underworld. They're not afraid of dark stuff. And we already said with Scorpio, you got to see they're very suspicious. And they always say you be careful of Scorpio and Neptune because they can also become very addicted to drugs, alcohol, or they might become obsessive. They might be stalkers. You have to be careful, but they're very discerning and they can pick things up. Like if you do something wrong with a Scorpio, they may not tell you, but they will hold a grudge and they will get payback. But they're very strategic, very manipulative, very secretive. So like I said, you would never know what's coming. And also, they can find things out supernaturally. So you might do something when you think you get away with it. I was out of town. There's no way he could have known it was me and this other person. He's not going to tell. I'm not going to tell. This person never knows. And somehow they know anyway. Somehow they just figure something out or know something. So they're psychic. They're very psychic. Oh, wonderful healing. Wonderful healing. They can heal. So they're real good with healing and stuff. All this is going on in the 4th house. And when you have like a Pluto there, so what we want to look at is Scorpio in the 4th house, and then Pluto in the 4th house, and then we'll have a good idea what's going on there. All right, so far, my two favorite websites, duck it. They don't even want to talk about it. So I got to find somebody who does. All right, this is astrologyclub.org. So they may be somewhat of a private family, or the family might be private, but this person needs to experience emotional, spiritual intimacy. If this person is in a home environment, they tend to let their guard down, and they'll reveal how emotionally vulnerable they are and how emotionally deep they can go. But they don't reveal these things easily. It can be a long time. Like I said, because a Scorpio won't trust you, and they really will fight against you because they're kind of like protecting themselves. And then once they do trust you, you'll see a totally different person. But it's a while before they let you get there. It says it can be a long time before a Scorpio is willing to trust you or let their guard down. And that's the only time that you'll actually get this feel at home with them, because we're talking about the sixth house and this is your family house, which is still kind of like connected to your fourth house, the home house. So they said that the reason why they're real secretive because they have things that are very extreme and intense that reveal who they really are. So you won't even get to see that. You'll get some external stuff until they really start to like you or trust you, and then they'll begin to take you into who they really are. So with a Scorpio can be intimacy or power or control issues. And this is all in the family environment because we're talking about the fourth house, which is family. They said Scorpios do not like to be involved in the lives of others. So that's interesting. They may seem aloof or private, very secretive and mysterious as a Scorpio. So they say if you have Scorpio in your fourth house, the universe is telling you to get involved. But because that's the house of family, I'm always going to say family. It has something to do with family. And they say they don't mean interfering in other people's lives, but just to get involved. But they're saying once the Scorpio can heal, and that's his sun sign too. But once the Scorpio can heal and get over their woes, they're saying that Scorpio will be an excellent healer for other people. So a Scorpio person has a powerful aura or presence that other people can sense right away. So they say that they're warning Scorpios to make sure your aura is beneficial, because it can be felt when you go around people. They can already feel it. So they're saying a Scorpio can either transform and improve or degenerate, go all the way, go down. That's why when you be seeing Uranus and all that stuff, you got to be real careful. And they're warning Scorpios, if you start going down, don't pull other people down with you. And they're telling Scorpio, if you try to help people, really be there to help them, not to kind of like you're up top looking down on them. And again, I started this off. I'm going to say it again, but you also have to have a desire to want to, whatever it is. That's anything, and it's just a hypocrisy, because if it's anything anybody wants to do, they'll get it done. Like if you really want to do something, and if it's offered to you, you'll do it. And some people go looking for it; they make it happen. So don't be that way in one area. Then it's another area you're acting like, oh, uh, I don't understand. Oh, I was gonna take this seriously, but I don't like his tone, so never mind. It's just an excuse maker. Like I've been doing this for a long time, so it's a little bit different. And I like listening to the Messiah when he talked, because he would just call people hypocrites. Like, oh yeah, you don't know this, but you know that. So you see it. So if a person really wants it, that's the main thing. When you're a healer, the main thing you should try to do is show people the way. But then they have to choose that way. But a lot of people want somebody to hold on to, and they'll blame you for their failure. And after a while, after you see that enough, you're like, okay, enough of that. We won't be doing it that way anymore. All right. So now we're going to do Pluto in the 4th house. All right, this is astromatrix.com. astromatrix.org. Opportunities for transforming or regenerating yourself may come through experiences associated with the home and family environment. A danger of this placement is a tendency to dominate and coerce. So you don't want to be domineering or coercive to those you're in a relationship or a family situation with. This could alienate others against you and create a powerful struggle with family members. There may be some mystery or secret relating to home activities, and this is strictly confined to the family circle, and we already covered that as well. All right, now go back in. So basically, Mercury retrograde is just communication problems. He's not going to be understood. He's going to have to find a way to be understood, because of Mercury retrograde, no matter if he writes it, talks it, whatever he does is going to tend to be misunderstood. So he has to find a way to really communicate, because he's got that again. That's not in his favor. Now the Venus retrograde, and yeah, let's finish up with the Mercury retrograde. See, they said in a past life he may have been scorned for speaking out. Possibly his words incited a riot or somebody got hurt. And in this life, he's just scared to speak out. Scared to say the wrong thing. So he may try not to speak at all. But they're advising him to overcome this lesson. You should believe in yourself and the ability of your communication skills. Practice public speaking and celebrate the achievement of speaking to a group. So he really should work on that. And there's ways. Sometimes you could talk, like, don't talk so much, talking to go, okay, did everybody understand that? And so it's one of those things. Like, if you're out in public, because sometimes people are trying to talk and they're trying to get a certain amount of information covered. And once you start asking the audience that you understand, and so you may always get those people that no matter what, they're going to say something opposite, because they try to make the situation about them. And it's like, it's you up top trying to teach the people. You got the microphone, you have the floor, but it's going to be somebody in the audience that's trying. You know what I'm saying? We just live in a crazy ass world. See, I'm just old school. I'm just shut up. This isn't about you right now. Just shut up. That's where I come from. But it worked for me. I'm still here. Like, I love my life, But some people, like, where we're at now, it's just like so much confusion. And it's just all about feelings. And you know what? If there wasn't a such thing as karma, or you're going to reap what you sow, then I'd keep my mouth shut. But at some point, somebody's got to give a reality check. All right, so let's go forward. So now we're doing Venus retrograde. So now they're saying something that's unique. They're saying a Venus retrograde helps push your suppressed feelings to the surface, and you might find new ways to express them. Because I don't know how with that Mercury retrograde. So somehow between Venus retrograde and Mercury retrograde, his fourth house is trying to help him find a way to express his feelings, and not just express them, but express them in such a way that the person he's expressing them to can understand it. And that's a challenge in the fourth house. Venus retrograde helps you reevaluate what you want from life and those around you. And they can force you to seek new desires elsewhere. So even if you had a value system that you believed in, all of a sudden with a Venus retrograde, it can cause you to question even that, even though it's your own value system. Things you value at most at one point become unimportant. Things you used to disagree with, you don't want to disagree with no more. You may find yourself reevaluating the meaning of personal views, friendships, love, intimate, and even spiritual beliefs. So to me, that's a shaky fourth house. Because even with Scorpio alone, things can be highly emotional, highly intense, and highly hard to understand. Now you get Mercury retrograde, it's only going to make it harder to understand. And now you got Venus is going from one extreme to the other. So that fourth house is very, very. And that might be why his Cancer with the moon is where it is. So let's look at that again. Because that's who rules the fourth house, the Cancer and the moon. Yep, it's in his 12th house. So they're kind of trying to get him to deal with that. And Lilith, like I said, whether she's retrograde or not, at the end of the day, Lilith does deal with your internal. So they're saying that Venus is retrograde on your chart, you're probably going to have some relationship issues to overcome in this life. In past relationships, he may have he may have felt restrained. There may have been external forces beyond his control that kept him and his lover apart. You may have He may never have learned how to conduct a mature, productive relationship in his lifetime. So in this lifetime, they may find it hard to fulfill their dreams or desires from the people who are close to them. You may have difficulty connecting to your mate and sustaining intimate relationships with friends. You may also seek fulfillment from your partner, but that always seems to come up short. So they're saying some of these emotional matters can apply to financial matters as well. So they may feel that they never have enough in their pockets and that then their self-worth goes down. And it's kind of funny because, like I said, the Scorpio rules the 8th house, which is about money, other people's money. And then the second house, ruled by Taurus, about that person's money. They're advising him to discover for himself what he really wants in his relationships and to choose his partners carefully. And they're telling this person, learn how to be happy within yourself. All right, so that's Mercury retrograde. So that was impactful. Now you see where his sun at. It's almost going right into Sagittarius because we weren't sure of his time. I did actually Archangels. All right. So like I said, Sagittarius in the 5th house is going to be a person who's in touch with the universe. You can't get past it. So he might find himself in a. Juno says he might find himself in a serious relationship with somebody that may have either a Leo or a Sagittarius energy. And we don't know. We're not positive at the time because if if you see Neptune and Sagittarius on her chart, and then you see his, it could be a connection. Because I know it was a big Capricorn thing on her chart, and see his vertex is Capricorn. So he likes to travel too. You know, fun for him might be on the internet, but it's anything long distance, culture, anything about, you know, culture, for foreign culture, because that's the ninth house. Maybe even philosophy might be a good thing he likes to do for fun. Now, whenever you see Saturn and Uranus, they oppose each other. But I'm gonna see if I can find it, because I saw something, but I want to make sure I can find it to verify it. Yup, this is myastrologybook.com's Saturn conjunct Uranus. These people incarnated here. This is what myastrologybook.com says. They're helping you bridge the gap between the Pisces age and the Aquarius age. Because I told you when twin flames come, because we're almost out the Pisces age. You know, they gave you Christianity. They gave you a lot of stuff. It may have seemed helpful, but it was very deceptive. And that's what Neptune is. Neptune is a deceiver. Because we're not, they boxed everything in. But really, we're so much more than what they said we were. So his job is to come in and don't take no shorts. His job is to come in and get us ready for the Aquarius age, because we are leaving the Pisces age. So that's what you got going over here. And that's why he's not going to be small-minded. Sagittarius is a healer too. So kind of like fun for him. Fun for him is like really advancing into a higher frequency, a higher dimension. That's fun for him. And he's got Aries aggression to do that. And same thing, you see Vesta, so they're telling him don't burn out. And that's actually his true north node. Aries in the ninth house. But when you go back to his first house, led by Aries, is Leo. And then Leo is also there. So he's dealing with the same thing. Youthful like energy, young children like energy. So far it looks like they're like a soul family. Because it just seems like their energy's tapping in, but different. Because she has a lot of Leo. We talked about Leo. When you go to the sixth house, which is all about the home, service, young children, small dogs, daily activities, co-workers, health and healing. Again, you see the vertex. So the vertex says he might find someone with a Capricorn, be some type of soul situation. And she is that. But see, that would still be like a soul connection. Like anybody could be a soulmate. Anybody in your soul family could be a soulmate. But your twin soul is the same soul in a different body. And I don't see that on these charts yet with the information that's given. So he may find a business in home matters, healing matters. Because Capricorn will be the 10th house of careers. And then you see in his 10th house, you see Taurus, which is another earth sign. They're all Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo are all earth signs. And you see how his 6th house with healing is a lot like his 2nd house of healing. And then Taurus is in the 8th house, is in the 10th house, which is ruled by Capricorn. So it's definitely some type of healing going on there, which is kind of unique. So like I said, his 6th house is implying he has some type of healing business, home, or any type of home, but it's service business or healing business. Because you see it in his 6th house, 2nd house, and 10th house. We'll do part of fortune. We'll do part of fortune in Capricorn. Or good fortune in Capricorn. Serious and hardworking. So hard work, determination, and achievement of goals. Good fortune in the 6th house. So he was born just prior to a full moon. He's interested in self-improvement and self-discipline. He fights injustices. We already saw that with the palace and the Libra sign. And he wants to serve and improve people's lives. See, here goes a service of Virgo. He'll help people in hospitals, prisons, animal rights, lead a group of workers. But that can be anything home, even people cleaning homes or the elderly. That's what you see with he may have a business, or that might be his job or career. Doing something with doctors or nurses, veterinarians, soldiers, or staff. Neptune and Capricorn. Five. Sagittarius. All right, Neptune and Capricorn. So when you see Neptune and Capricorn, like I said, because he's trying to help the people leave the Aquarius and go leave the Pisces era and go into Aquarius. So Neptune and Capricorn is a dissolving of old governments and national boundaries, such as the Iron Curtain and Soviet Union, or government philosophies such as communism throughout the world. So then you have upsurge in idealism to take over these places that are fallen. So Neptune represents the ideal, and Capricorn represents the old world forms. You got the status quo being overthrown. So advanced souls incarnate while Neptune was in Capricorn. So these individuals will take positions of statesmen, women educators, healers, and spiritual leaders. We began to see the sea tap for minerals at that time. All right. Now I'm saying the sign she has on her chart, could that be him? And it could be, but what I'm saying is like a soul relationship, possibly karmic connection. But I'm not saying like because the twin flames, they tell a story. So that's as far as I can go with this as well. Now it's a lot of sales going on. Again, I do anything that you consider intuitive, astrology, twin soul, twin flame, anything the unknown. I deal with all that. So you can always contact. You can always get the service and price list. All that information is in the description box below. And again, there are sales going on even as we speak. God bless.